I wrote a lot of it from the perspective of different characters, and it's from the title track that leads into the record, and it just kind of personifies a lot of the information that's kind of in there. It's the story of that character, more or less. And there's kind of like an overarching theme throughout the record that you will see when you listen to it. It sort of starts on a desperate note, the record, and then by the end of it, it resolves nicely with a happy ending. And that's
just how everything should end.
The happy ending. So we recorded it with a few different people. We did a lot of it ourselves through the writing process and the demoing process, and then we took that in with a guy named Blake Arnage, who we did a bunch of time. Yeah, we did a bunch of time at East West with him, which was rad. And then we took everything over to our other friend Colin Britton, and he sort of like rounded everything out because there was a bunch of material from a bunch of different sessions and things like that. And so Colin sort of like produced up the whole thing and made it sound like a cohesive record with us, which was a really fun thing to do. It was kind of cool working with our peers rather than like more big name producers, because I feel like we got to be a lot more hands-on with the whole process, and it just felt a lot more collaborative. Blake's a really talented guy, and he, we liked a lot what he had done with Paris and other acts, and I was a big fan of Versa when they were a band, and I just knew that because I had this sort of idea for what I wanted the record to sound like, and I knew he was very good with a lot of those flavors and like some of the vintage synth stuff that I wanted to introduce on this album, and he really brought a lot as far as that goes to the table. So that was really cool working with him. He's got a good mind for it. And then, like I said, our buddy Colin was just amazing for like rounding out the whole thing and making it sound like a cohesive...
Give it sounds.
Yeah. I don't think we knew exactly what we were going to get when we went in. We had a bunch of songs written, and obviously that was that's a huge guiding force in making an album. We had a bunch of these cornerstone songs that we felt like we could kind of build around, but it kind of was a progression. I think a lot of the songs started one way and then ended up somewhere completely different by the end of the record, and that was also a really cool experience with the way this record turned out.
Also, Alex wrote a lot of songs before the Blink tour, and then we went on the road for 6 weeks with Blink and came back to finish the album, and it kind of changed over those 6 weeks. We got a chance to listen to it and live with the songs that had been recorded, and some of them didn't end up making the cut and got changed, or Alex wrote some new ones. And I think that was kind of cool because it gave us a chance to almost do the album.
In something fresh with the...
to change it up.
Yeah. It was one of the first times that we made a record without really any foreseeable deadline. It was kind of amazing because obviously we signed with Fueled by Ramen, and we were signed to the label for almost a year now without kind of having any music out under the label. So what was really cool with signing with them is that they were very much like, they were super supportive of just letting us feel out the process the way we felt comfortable, and that became a big part of it, not writing to a deadline and just kind of experimenting and letting the sound of the record figure itself out almost.
I know when we were like, we're going on tour with Blink for 6 weeks, I don't know if they were cool, if they were like happy about that, but they were cool with it. They let us go do our thing and were really patient with us, so that was nice.
Yeah, cool. I just think we're lucky to have. Fueled by is a really good label. I think one of the reasons they really thrive is because they let their bands represent themselves in a lot of ways, and they just sort of enhance that. So I think it's why they're on such a roll right now, and it's why it made so much sense for us to end up there.